Jesus spent most of his time, the beginning of Jesus' life, the 30 years of his being raised by his mom, was in Nazareth. And he loved to do trips and miracles in Nazareth and Capernaum, اللي احنا بنقول عليها بالعربي كفر ناحوم. So Nain was only a few miles far from Nazareth and about 25 miles from Capernaum. So Jesus yesterday was in Capernaum healing the centurion's son, قائد المئة, ابن قائد المئة. Then a whole day trip, if you do the math, 25 miles is about 40 kilometers. I personally walk a kilometer in 20 minutes. I'm not the fastest, I'm not the slowest. So if you do the math, 40 times 20 is 800 minutes. You divide by 60 minutes, it's about 13, 14 hours. So a whole day worth of walking, Jesus went from Capernaum to Nain. So there is a large crowd with Jesus. What is the mood of the crowd with Jesus? Excited? Right, good. Who said excited? Good job, Abuna. Good job. Okay. Excited, happy, awaiting something to happen. They are with the master, right? And there is a large crowd coming out of the city through the gate. So that's scene number one. Who is leading the large second crowd? A weeping woman, widow, who just lost her only son. And with her was a large crowd, correct? That's what the story says. So just think about it. This is not a coincidence. Jesus calculated exactly when should he leave Capernaum to meet the funeral procession coming out of the city of Nain through the gate. That's scene number one. Scene number three, which second, okay? Remember, I know math very well. 1, then 3, then 2. That's my math, right? Scene number 3, which I want you to read here with me. Is after the rising from the dead. What happened? Fear, glorification, marveling, God has visited, and then preaching. What we say, karaza, right? We use the term karaza, correct? To preach. And it's kind of surprising to me here, the very, very last verse, and it says, and this report about him went throughout all Judea and all the surrounding region. Wasn't he in the north? You guys remember the map? Judea was all the way south. But that is the effect of the two crowds. So two large crowds spread the word. And two large crowds are us. Here and here. This is the crowd that should spread the word. What happened between scene number 1, where there is weeping, sorrow, pain, death, funeral, and burial, and scene number 3, where there was fear, glorification, marveling, happiness, preaching? What happened between the two scenes is scene number 2. Scene number 2 is the miracle, correct? I just want to ask you all a question. How many sentences did Jesus say in this story? How many sentences? How much talking did he do? 2 sentences. He only said 2 sentences. He saw the woman. He had compassion on her. He acted. He told her, woman, do not weep. And then he touched the coffin. By the way, the coffin in the old days in the Jewish traditions was not like a gasket like we have today, a covered sanduq, covered thing. No, it was just an open wooden stretcher, something like na'ala in Arabic, na'ala. So, and they wrap the deceased everywhere, and they put him, and between 4 to 6 people carry a na'ala and go to the burial site. And burial in the Old Testament was always outside of the city. Always. Except the kings. Only the kings were buried inside. That's why if you visit Jerusalem, you will find David's tomb inside the city, not outside. But everybody else is outside. Why? Because death makes someone unclean. And if you touch a dead body, a corpse or a coffin, you are unclean. And you have to go for 7 days to clean up before you can even visit the temple again or come to near us. And this man called Jesus walks to the funeral, and what does he do? He touches the coffin. Have you ever seen a funeral stopping? Who stops for who? When we are in a funeral procession, you go with your car and you have this purple flag and you have the escort car coming ahead and behind. What do? They stop all traffic lights. They stop all people coming from the side roads, right? For the funeral procession to proceed, correct? Can anyone stop a funeral procession today? The answer is no, right? Jesus does the opposite. He comes to the coffin, touches the coffin, and without giving an order, what happened to the funeral procession? Stall. It came to a full stop, no movement at all. Then Jesus goes to the boy and tell him, young man, to you I say, arise. 2 sentences. Do not weep. Young man, to you I say, arise. What should we take out of this message? What is the message for us today? Are you and I going to go tomorrow and start rising the dead from their death and start making these type of miracles? I can tell you that all of us, myself included, have almost a zero chance of rising someone from a physical death. But we do have a very good chance of rising someone from a spiritual death. We here in the church are people who, in a way, are accepting God. In a way, we are here, right? We are here on Sunday morning to attend El-Uddes, the liturgy, right? So think about it. You might very well be in one of the 2 positions. You might be in Jesus' position in his crowd, and you might very well be in the mother and her son's crowd. The message to you is, if you are in Jesus' crowd and you see her, have compassion. And then what? And then say, God bless you, and move, right? No. Have compassion and act on it to the best you can, to the best talent you have, to the best capability the Lord has given you. If you are in the other crowd, if you are in the mother or the son crowd, I'll give you a story. Actually, I learned it while I'm preparing this for this quick talk here today. Bless you. I love pears, and I love banana, by the way, too. But I love pears. Do you know how pears ripen? So when pears get cut off the tree and you go buy it in the store, it is very hard and not sweet at all. Anyone knows how to make a pear ripen in a best way? I just learned this a couple of days ago. You put it in the dark, in a paper bag, and you seal the paper bag, and you leave it for 2 to 4 days. That's what they say. 2 to 4 days. And then you bring it out, and you eat the most sweet pear. So if you are in the mother or the son situation, remember the pear. You might be in darkness. You might be secluded. You might be isolated. You might be totally alone. You might be in despair. You might be in pain. You might be in sorrow. You might be in failure. Do not weep. Young man, to you I say, arise. Have faith in the Lord. Have faith in the Lord. The Lord does not rule the world with miracles. He rules the world with laws and regulations. But with faith, everything is possible. No one asked Jesus anything in this miracle. If you read through the Gospels, many of Jesus' miracles he was asked for. Like the centurion's son, the centurion sent to him, hey, Lord, my son is very sick. Can you please say a word and heal him? The woman with bleeding disorder, she did seek him. She went after him when he had like tens of thousands of people around him. She made her way through and touched his robe and got healed. So many times we seek Jesus, but always trust that even if you don't, Jesus will come to you. Jesus will find you. And Jesus will have compassion on you. And Jesus will tell you 2 sentences. Do not weep, young man, arise. So if you are in any difficulty, just remember the pair story and keep your faith, keep your strength. The Lord one day will come and visit you. And glory be to God forever. Amen.